The more I learn about Silent Hill F, the more excited I am about the hopefully soon to release next title in the Silent Hill series. There have only been 2 trailers released alongside a few sparse details online, yet what is there is already very promising and seems to hint at many possibilities. When you examine both trailers side by side, a story starts to take shape. Here is my interpretation of the Silent Hill F official trailer. The story of Silent Hill F focuses on Shimizu Hinako, a young girl living in a town called Ibisugaoka, which according to the game's website is a desolate rural town in the mountains. The language seems to imply an unhappy childhood for Hinako, who is now trapped in the transformed town and forced to make a choice. Her parents, her environment, her friendships, and society's standards. She is an adolescent girl at the mercy of the ideal image these things demand of her. She was a cheerful child, but it has been a long time since she laughed. The opening of the second trailer mentions Hinako. Someone is talking about her, asking another person if they're going to trick her. The voice then insists Hinako is dead. We see a somber image of Hinako in a picture frame later, almost forgotten in a back room of a house somewhere. The implication being our protagonist may be dead, or at least thought to be dead by those she left behind. The flowers that appear in the game seem to reinforce that idea. Most of them are higanbana, or the red spider lily, which appears throughout both trailers. The higanbana is associated with the underworld and religious beliefs surrounding the dead. In Buddhism, it is associated with a flower that's believed to show the dead the way to the afterlife, how to cross the Sanzu River. Notice in the trailer that Hinako turns away, chooses another path whenever these flowers appear in front of her, as if she is avoiding following them. Voices say that she's lingered here too long, she needs to choose. This choice may relate to her state as a half-living person, perhaps as a literal ghost. In the first teaser trailer, what appears to be a large lake is shown, full of dead bodies overgrown with red flowers. A girl, possibly Hinako, has become overtaken by them and is floating out towards a great torii gate. The water brings to mind the river between worlds of Buddhist myth, the torii gate representing the passage between the ordinary world and the other world, between life and afterlife. In the second trailer, we see rain and a dark sky falling on a town which we now know is called Ibisugaoka. This town is based on a real-world location, Kanayama, a unique town in the Japanese countryside known for its old-fashioned architecture. There's even a local word describing the strange way this old-fashioned town is built. Kinkotsu, meaning narrow alleys or red roads, referring to how much of the town is comprised of tight, wandering alleyways connected in strange paths. It is meant to reference the human body, like a series of veins running through the town, and that may be part of the reason why the town in Silent Hill F is so fleshy and red. The alleyways are literally a living body. The name of the town translates to Hill of Ibisu, using a somewhat old-fashioned possessive marker. The word Ibisu is an alternative spelling of the name of a god, Ebisu, the god of fortune and fishermen, one of the 7 lucky gods of Japanese tradition. Ebisu is the laughing god, associated with commerce and merchants, with the health and well-being of children. Some myths associate him with another figure, Hiruko, the leech child. The first child of the primordial parents Izanagi and Izanami, Hiruko was disabled, unable to walk. After 3 years, his parents abandoned him in a small raft, setting him out to sea. In some stories, the child washed up on shore and was saved, and grew up to be Ebisu. The 2 gods, both associated with the sea, likely became intertwined in the ancient past. Being associated with the ocean, Ebisu also represents the darker side of ocean life. What washes up on shore also belongs to his realm, and this includes corpses, At times, Ebisu is depicted as a human corpse floating on the surface of the sea. As a lucky god, Ebisu is associated with this life benefits, meaning good fortune and blessings in the material world. He is who you go to for wish granting and fulfillment, and in stories it sometimes takes a comical twist. The theme of water appears elsewhere in this story, in Hinako's name. Her surname, Shimizu, means literally deep water. More typically, it is spelled with these kanji, which means spring water. While the details are sparse, there's certainly a possible theme here associating water and death, particularly given what we see in the first trailer. Of course, the god Ebisu also brings to mind childhood, as he is associated with their protection. And children, particularly female children, and what it is to be a young girl, seems to be a big part of this game. The first major clue is the preeminence of dolls, specifically a type of Japanese doll called a hina doll, a tradition going back hundreds of years in which young adolescent girls are gifted dolls on a special holiday, which represent their innocence, youth, and happiness. Hinako's name shares the same kanji for these hina dolls. The dolls in the trailer are twisted and deformed, of course. The website hints at the reason why. Hinako's been pressured by society's expectations. The perfect doll, representing society's ideal of femininity, is a prime symbol for showing how Hinako feels about these expectations, how she feels about herself. This may be why it seems all the monsters so far are female. Female dolls, female corpses, and there is at least one, probably more, dead figures dressed in a girl's school uniform, like Hinako. Another feminine symbol may be the flower itself. The general theme of growing things is tied into Hinako's self-image by this scene here. On the wall are damaged self-portraits depicting a young girl who hates her own face. Painted in red on the wall is the word hanane, or flowers. Both trailers end in a dramatic twist as the protagonist's face begins to peel off. Tied together with the theme of damaged dolls, of portraits scratched out, of a girl lashing out at other female forms, and we start to see a pattern forming. This doll theme might tie into the focus on scarecrows, which are also objects meant to represent people. We see them in the opening trailer standing in the rice field, and multiple monsters appear in the trailer that resemble distorted scarecrows. The first appearance of this figure, standing still at the top of the stairs, closely resembles one, and this figure is literally a human corpse posed on a set of sticks. This focus on objects that are presented as humans, on humans that become objects, distorted and destroyed, definitely feels relevant to Hinako and her possibly troubled childhood. It also ties into the region and its farming history. A far more prominent and more obvious Japanese god is referenced in the second trailer. If you have any knowledge of Japan, you probably recognized it. The fox spirit, appearing inside a large temple complex. Dozens of stone statues with bibs and ropes tied to their necks, a paw lifted. Deep inside, a central fox with 9 tails seems to be the center of the shrine. There can only be one god or goddess being referenced by foxes. Inari, deity of the rice field and the harvest. Stories say Inari originally came to Japan in the ancient time when the world was young, during a famine, descending from heaven on the back of a white fox, carrying a sheaf of grain. A white fox is a celestial fox. At least 1,000 years of age, said to have 9 tails, similar to the statue in the trailer. The fox is said to be Inari's messenger and guardian, and fox statues are found all around and within Inari shrines. Inari is one of the most popular and widely worshipped gods of Japan, and one of the most individual and varied. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of individual kami are known as Inari, each with individual names and shrines spread across the islands. This diversification gives Inari and the fox spirit a unique individuality not seen in every Shinto spirit. This individuality also seems to make believers feel closer to Inari, more comfortable. Where other gods may specialize, Inari is prayed to for everything under the sun, from traditional agriculture concerns to infidelity, theft, illness, and other personal interests. Unlike other deities associated with the distant heavens or spiritual life, Inari is a down-home kind of spirit, the closest of the gods to the human world, and thus the most readily addressed to intervene in day-to-day life. In the words of one scholar, Inari is like your own mother. It grants your wishes. This association with individuality and the physical world may relate to Inari's closeness to the fox spirit. The fox is a solitary animal, seen as a liminal creature living between worlds, on the borders of civilization and nature. It is a trickster, sometimes a helper, more often a punisher of the wicked or stupid or selfish. Stories associate the fox with forbidden elements of humanity, our sexuality, our desires, our drunkenness and loss of control. It is this personal individuality which seems to be at play in Silent Hill F. A story we already know focuses on societal pressure and Hanako's sense of self-loathing. The fox spirit is a prominent figure in Japanese myth, typically as a trickster and weaver of illusions. It is this which makes the fox's placement in Silent Hill particularly interesting. Stories of the fox involve powerful magical creatures weaving fantasy mansions, palatial palaces, pretending to be buxom beauties, in order to seduce and entice men wandering the roads alone at night. They wake up to find the fancy meal they ate was garbage, or the nice bath they took was actually a tub of sewage. Some of these tricks can last for a long time, with the fox spirit living as a human for months or years. The illusions can be pleasant or horrific. A famous story involves a lord's castle and a specific tower on his land. No one wanted to go near it. Any who dared saw horrific things and came to believe it was haunted by a ghost. A Buddhist priest discovered the truth. A wayward fox spirit, whose home had been buried under the new-built tower, was weaving illusions to torment the humans. These creatures can even possess humans, entering their souls and forcing them to misbehave. Or, in rare cases, a fox deity may possess a human to provide oracles. But far more stories depict these possessions as instances when a human begins to behave abnormally, likely as a punishment for misbehavior at the hands of a fox spirit. The fox theme may tie back into something that's said in the second trailer. A girl's voice accuses someone named Shu of lying, and says they're trying to fool Hinako. Manipulation and trickery sounds right up the fox's alley. In fact, the roots of the word for monster in Japan are related to tricks, to the idea that a supernatural creature is at heart something deceiving you. One of these terms is obake, meaning changed thing, something that is different. Another is Bakemono, which combines the Chinese characters for transformation and things, again meaning things that change. In the modern sense, these words are often translated to mean demon, goblin, or monster, but in their most literal sense, they are creatures that can transform, and in that context, the transformation is seen as a deception. Bakemono is associated with the yokai, often translated as demon, not the same as yurei, or a deceased human spirit or ghost. The difference is important, because the Japanese Silent Hill F website uses the term Bakemono to refer to something that appears in the trailer for F. There is a monster, a changing thing, which is the source of Hinako's suffering. The website calls it White Monster or Shiroi Bakemono. You see a white face for just an instant in the trailer itself, and inside the temple, a quick flash of a painting. On closer examination, it looks like a fox spirit being attacked by a female monster with an incredibly long neck, flanked by oni or demons. This long-necked spirit is a Rokuro Kubi. Stories say the Rokuro Kubi is a former human being or a cursed human, possibly being punished for misdeeds. However, these misdeeds in the stories are often the sins of someone else, particularly an unfaithful husband or father, whose wife or daughter suffers the curse in their stead. Rokuro Kubi are almost entirely depicted as female. The monster first appears in Japan in the 1700s, traveling over in a book of stories from China, where it became a sensation among writers and artists of the fantastical. The Rokuro Kubi of Silent Hill F appears to be a terrible creature, but it may also be a human or perhaps a local legend, because it is referenced in the town itself. The storefront where we see Hinako and her friends has a sign with these kanji. The first two can be a name, Chizuru, or more literally, the symbol for 1,000 with the symbol for white, crane, or long neck. The third symbol, ya, means house, and the last two are shoten, or store, possibly meaning something to the effect of Chizuru family store. But that middle symbol, the one that can mean long neck, well, that seems ominous given what we know of our titular monster. Did something happen on this day, in this store, to Hinako and her friends? Did this boy, possibly named Sho, trick or deceive her in some fashion? Was the store owner or the long-necked woman somehow involved? It somehow led Hinako to being trapped between worlds, to being deceased or at least lost, possibly delaying her entry into the afterlife in order to achieve vengeance, or to try and return to the world of the living. Of course, we cannot close out without mentioning those final scenes inside the temple. Having explored the town and received some damage to her clothes, Hinako finds a large temple complex full of fox statues. She appears to travel deep within it. In the end, two miko, or shrine maidens, wearing fox masks, and what may be a kanushi, or a male shrine priest, are performing some kind of ritual, seemingly at Hinako's behest. The maidens give the kanushi a knife, which we then see is brought to Hinako's face, which then falls off. The shrine maidens are foxes, given their masks. Perhaps the silver-haired man is Inari himself. Foxes have been described as Inari's shrine maidens. Or perhaps less literally, these are what Hinako imagines Inari and the spirits to be, what her mind has created to represent and fulfill a need. On the clothes of the miko, we see some kind of flower. I had no luck identifying it, but it clearly ties into the overall theme of growing things. There's also repeating circular motifs, likely kamon or family crests used to represent certain clans and bloodlines in Japan. A similar symbol appears on Hinako's school uniform, perhaps implying a certain family's power or long-lived existence in the area. How literally this game will pull on Japanese myth isn't clear, but I doubt it will follow myth exactly given the series' history, unlike a Kuon or a Fatal Frame, where it is implied these gods and spirits are real and exist in a Shinto reality. It's more likely Silent Hill F is a world of the protagonist's mind, which functions as a Shinto reality because the protagonist is Japanese. It's a slight difference, but important to keep in mind. The possibilities are endless. What we've seen thus far is very intriguing, and I am excited for what's to come. It could be a fantastic game, and it's definitely a new twist for the Silent Hill series, but do not doubt it is a Silent Hill game. This heavy focus on an individual person's worldview, psychology, their choices and feelings, and how that reflects into the world around them is very Silent Hill. And I, for one, cannot wait to see more.